Good. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be back with you on another podcast, and it's a pleasure to share some of my insights about warehouse and the warehouse technology and the paperwork and the challenges that we see from the warehouse crew. Happy to give you some stories that I've faced and the challenges and the resistance from the crew that I've witnessed through my career.
Okay, right on. Well, it's a pleasure to have you as well. So, yeah, let's get right to it then. That's a very nice overall of what we're going to be talking about today. So, um, let's talk about from the manager's seat. So, pick one of the rollouts that you led. So it could be WMS, ERP, or any kind of new picking process, for example. Doesn't matter. If you could walk me through what it looked like from the moment that this was announced to go live, if you have one of those
Yeah,
cases.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
let's do WMS. That one is always a good start. So yeah, so the one project I've led as a manager, we've had traditional pen and paper transition to a more digital picking, and this was in a temperature controlled environment. Just wanted to give you that as a starter. So it was actually
Mhm.
a freezer environment. So this was in Canada. I was a GM for three facilities, and we were the sole distributor for a well-renowned. I can say the name, I guess. Nestle was
Mhm.
the company. It was Nestle ice cream. So the challenge was again, there's too many SKUs. There's over 200 stores that we are servicing out of Western Canada. So the challenge was the pen and paper was not handy. Again, if you remember our previous call, once
Yeah,
you go over 100 SKUs, it's challenging to keep up with the pen and paper.
of course.
Um, and also not to mention not just number of SKUs. Now you're talking about a big number of stores that requires a service. So how we started, where we uh, we thought, getting everybody in a boardroom was a primary step to explain why this change is needed. But
Mhm.
later on, we realized, okay, the employees are not really interested in a boardroom format. They want things to be done on the floor. So the resistance was, okay. I'll sit through it. I will try to pinpoint from a warehouse mentality. I will dig holes and find ways to show you that this is not effective, um, and I'll try to fight it so the management will change their mind. Let's call this person Bob. Actually, it is a real person. But anyway, so Bob, he was one of the cool guys, if you will. The cool
Mhm.
guys in the warehouse is the cool guys. It's the usually a younger guy who is popular. He's got people that will follow his lead. So when Bob is
Right.
saying it's not going to work, then okay, let's group together against management and prove to them that it's not going to work. So the first step was to convert the the cool guys, the Bob and his the two cool guys other with him that are the leaders. So what
Mhm.
are the challenges? The challenge for them, okay, the technology doesn't work inside the freezer.
Mhm.
The signal is very weak, or the buttons are require us to take off the glove And of course, that is not a good idea because you immediately feel the cold, the frostbite.
Yeah.
We're talking about a freezer that is minus 30, just for your information.
Yeah.
So the first challenge, okay, well, we have to get the scanners to work effectively to read inside the freezer. Second, we need buttons that will function when you touch screen, but it's touch screen that you do not require. You can still do it with the gloves on. You don't have to take off the gloves. So you keep going back to the IT department because you're kind of stuck in. Yes, you are management, but you're still you can force your will, of course, and write people up and try to be a tough guy. That, of course, works to a certain degree, but it doesn't remove the problem because their mindset will not change with a few write-ups. And also, you're talking about people that are been in the business for 20, 30 years, so they already have a lot of experience. This is a very mature warehouse staff, so you cannot really force. You can, but your problems are just gonna be polished, and the minute you blink an eye, then people will start using paperwork again. So the idea was, you don't do any shaming or. You try to work with, okay, what are the challenges? Okay, the challenges are, as we mentioned, it's scanner signal, and the touch screens are not catching the commands. So okay, so we thought, okay, it's easier switch to a voice picking. So we started a voice picking, which is a voice picking command that basically it shows on your screen. And you have a headset on your ears. And then it tells you where to go exactly. So you go to location 1C, for example, and you pick 2 cases of that item in 1C. Once you complete that, you say yes or done, something along those terms. Then it takes you to the next location. It tells you where to go. So it allows you to activate a voice program and a voice command system. And second, it gives you a picking sequence that reduces the number of steps. So it's more efficient and productive. And also you sell it to the crew that, okay, it's not about the company saving money. It's about you walking less. You're walking 2 less miles in this shift, for example. So you're not saving the company money. You're saving your knees, for example, or your energy. So it's always when you articulate this solution in some way that benefits the crew, then they just see you as a leader for them, not someone who's trying to impose the governance or the authority of your position. Because at the end of the day, yes, you as a manager, you want to save the company money. You want to be more efficient. You want to service your customers better. So this solution, which of course went back and forth for a few months, but in 3 months. We were happily implementing that voice pick in this freezer. This was a solution tailored for that customer. We improved the picking sequence. We improved the number of pieces the accuracy as well. And of course, when the orders were picked accurately on time, they were able to be shipped out on time and delivered on time. So it improved another metric for us, another KPI, which is on-time delivery in full, because we always had challenges. We were sending out on time, but we were not in full. We had a lot of shorts or substitutions, and with this system as well, it generated another benefit for us. When the items were not available in that stock, then it would auto generate what we call a letdown. So a letdown is basically you are bringing the pallet down from the top to the picking location, so it allows the product to be accessible. Again, we're talking about pickers on the ground. We're not picking with a machine. The only machine it does is bring the pallet down to the pick location. So that completes the replenishment of that. So that replenishment was always done before the picking started. So that improved significantly our inventory accuracy, and also as a return our picking accuracy.
Okay, nice. So that's a long like road. So like you said, 3 months total to like get everything set up, and people actually now are like using it and understand that this is why we're using it, this system, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, you're right. It is a long time. But of course, during this time, you were still working, but you didn't see the buy-in from the crew. There was resistance. Resistance slowly disappeared. You start to have now this Bob person, for example, becomes now a serious advocate to the program. That he was in the beginning the most resistant guy. He was the most senior guy, the most resistant guy. Now he's the advocate.
About that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was just about to ask about like the person who was like refusing the system the most, and you're just saying it.
Yeah, he's just completely turned. He became the guy that was the go-to guy when there's any further tweaks, any further changes. He was a leader and a big supporter of the implementation. He became someone who will fight the paper more than management on the ground. So management, of course, is always there on the ground, but not 24/7. It's a 24/7 operation. Yes, there's always supervisors, of course, but supervisors are more making sure the work is getting done, not babysitting everybody independently, right? So, it takes time, especially when you have, as I mentioned earlier, a workforce that has been doing paper for longer. The longer you're doing the paper, the harder the resistance becomes. But when there's a will, there's a way. There is there is always challenges that comes along the way. You just have to be patient, but you also have to show to your management as a manager, you're reporting to your executive level, that there is progress. It is always important to show that there is progress week over week, month over month. Of course, the KPIs are generated on a daily basis, but you cannot show the resistance day by day. But the KPIs and the employee morale also changes. So this is the things that you can capture on a KPI dashboard, and the KPIs usually will follow. And then once you start to see the turn, you get the momentum. I wish it, of course, was less than 3 months, but sometimes it could take up to 3 months. So this is really an extreme situation where the paper picking was completely abolished, and now the system they currently use, they're still using till this day.
Nice.
So it has proven to be a successful implementation.
That's awesome. That's great. So at the end of the day, it all worked out. It's just a matter of time, essentially, and just kind of, as you mentioned, getting having the right approach to get to the guys that are actually working on the floor and explain how and why the system would actually benefit them. And as soon as they see that, essentially go much easier. So that's perfect.
Because you can always sell, oh, the company's gonna make money, but okay, well, the company makes money now, so
Yeah.
why is it different? But you sell it, okay, no, it's not just about the money. There's also savings for you in terms of your energy. It's gonna be more effective. You can show off your 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 accuracy better. There's less room for error. Uh, you know,
Hmm.
that leads to another thing which we talked about briefly: the inventory accuracy. When the inventory is accurate, then it's
Yeah.
easier for you to complete your tasks. So one thing lead to another, but you have to be patient. It requires a lot of patience, as you rightfully said. But you
Hmm.
always have to have your vision very clear and see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Very well said, for sure. So on the topic of like refusals and like people who on any kind of level, like management, even if for some reason, refusing the system. Have you ever seen any kind of difference between, like for example, like older and younger workers, the way they handle the new system and like how they adapt to the new system, or is that like not really? Is that just like a stereotype that we'll have that older people want to use the newer systems, and then younger people are more adaptable? Like, what do you think?
I think this is a good point. I think definitely the younger generations are more tech savvy. So we've
Yeah.
had, over the years, summer students that will hire only for, the peak summer seasons.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the ice cream, but in terms of for overall productivity, for all overall, we have a usually busier summers, and also there's a lot of people that, of course, take holidays during the summer period. So we always have the coverage for this is usually students that are out of high school or
Hmm.
or university students. The thing that is very noticeable is that how quickly the younger generation were able to adapt to that technology. Maybe because they have not seen the paper that much in their
Yes, exactly.
career. So for them, paper is something you have to carry around. You have to carry a pen. The pen, you drop the pen, you lose the pen.
Yeah, yeah.
So things like that. So, or the pen runs out of ink, or if it's in a freezer or something, it might not work because it's just frozen. So the younger generation were definitely more adaptable. They even had better ideas for improvement as well, compared to the older generations. The older generations, again, they have the experience for sure, the
Mhm.
know-how, the ultimately you cannot survive without their knowledge inside the warehouse, especially if they're trained on multiple tasks, and usually most of them are. The longer you've been there, you're not just a picker. You could be a picker. You could be a forklift operator. You could be a receiver. You can be a put away guy. You can be an inventory cycle counter. So there's a lot of tasks that the touch base on, or they have experience on. The only challenge is they have, in my opinion, over relied or on paper throughout the years. So for
Mhm.
them, you're challenging their convenience. So I mean, I
Mhm.
started with the younger generation in my answer, having loving the technology. The others, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. No, my convenience is pen and paper. What if the system fails?
Yeah.
And it has failed before. Okay, so yes, technology does fail here and there for different reasons. Could be malware issue, could be connectivity, internet issues, could be multiple reasons, of course. But they
Mhm.
only remember that one time that the technology failed, and they say this is why we have the paper.
Yeah.
Um, I remember one guy. Let's call him Mike. Just quickly, quick story. He used to be a forklift operator. So under his seat, he had a clipboard, and
Oh yeah.
the clipboard was basically this is okay. I'll use the clipboard if the system fails, and or when I think it's more convenient, kind of thing.
Right.
So of course, the mindset is just again not addressing the issues. It's just they're trying to think of a solution that will suit them on the moment, which the paper could in some certain circumstances. But the idea is why is you have to, like, the answer is really, why is the system failing? This is the real question. Like, why is it failing? How can we make sure it fails less? Whether it's
Right.
connectivity, malware, updates, whether the technology becomes obsolete, and most of the companies I worked with, they had a annual budget of for technology hardware. So it could be replacing a scanner, replacing a handheld scanner, or a headset, or replacing like forklift, or any equipment, hardware equipment
Yeah.
that they may need. So the idea is that you always have to keep investing on technology, because at some point your equipment will be obsolete, or they will they will fail to deliver what you need. So again, I'm talking about a scenario when you are scaling or growing, and then the technology doesn't match your growth or your scale that you have. So some technologies, for example, were good when you have, let's say, 1,000 SKUs, but if you have 10,000, it's not as efficient.
Right.
So that you always have to scale and invest in technology as you grow with your company or your customers. Some customers we've had, for example, this is a really special one. They, of course, this was a contract and so on. They're a food service provider for restaurants. So they booked a certain area of the warehouse exclusively for their use. We of course hired our people to do it, etc. Why they were doing that is because they were upgrading their system, and they needed something temporary for like a 6 months period to do this. So why I'm bringing this up is because their technology, although they were in our building, their technology was more advanced than ours.
I see.
And they brought like signal towers. They put IT engineers on site to install their technology in our premises. Again, everything is agreed upon, but because their picking was extremely difficult, they were not picking by the case or the carton. You had to actually open the carton and pick by the eaches. So for example, you have a box of 5 items. In our regular line of business, we're doing case picking, so you'll pick up that carton. No, their request is you open that carton and you, let's say, pick 2 or 3, whatever the order requires. So it requires much more accuracy, even more accuracy. So that's the only reason I'm bringing this up, is because they felt that technology needed more than our existing one, as I explained, and they invested this technology in their own company because they know their business is complicated enough to require such complexity.
Right. Understood. Okay.
So I hope that answers your question. So there's always 2 sides there. For the, I think you mentioned, if I remember correctly, the management. So the management above me, this part of the question that I have not answered yet. So the people, again, they expect you to figure it out, but at the same time have a reasonable time plan, and you have to show in sequence, in, let's say, weeks or months, where this is heading and how you're going to deliver that goal. Of course, training is number one, of course. but not just training, and you still need to follow to make sure the people who are trained are executing properly and in a timely manner, and that actually you used less man hours. For example, you're using, let's say, 100 man hours. Now you're using 80 or 90, for example, per week or per month, or it depends on, of course, the scale. But the idea is they see reduction in the work hours, or they see an increase in productivity per hour. That's always, of course, trackable by the KPIs. So as long as you explain to them and you show it with numbers, then you get the buy-in from the management and you get the time. And if you need more time, you have to build a business case to explain why you need more time.
Right.
But there's always, you have to be backing everything by numbers in this scenario.
Right. Oh, got it. So from management perspective, what else to add? Have you seen any kind of refusal from the management specifically on the technology side? Like when you already sold the numbers, like the software is already being implemented, whatever kind of software, doesn't really matter. But have you seen any kind of refusal from the management after implementation has started and they're like, no, this is not going to work? Like, I'm not sure if that ever happens to you.
Not really. Usually, it's harder to, of course, to get the buy-in from the management in the first place.
Yeah.
So usually the project doesn't start unless they approve the budget for it. So, in other words, they are very invested in the project because they have signed off on it. So they want this project to conclude. The only maybe reverse it. If you propose an implementation or a software or some improvement, and they don't see the value, and they usually fight it, and they fight it because they don't want to sign off on it. So it's like, it's the opposite. So if they don't want to sign off on it, you have to explain with a business case or study in a similar industry or a competitor maybe. What they are doing and how this change benefited them, and still this business case in Q1 we need to spend X to get Y, and we're gonna do it by doing Z, for example. So that is definitely, in my opinion, this is a lot tougher than convincing people on the floor. Because convincing people on the floor, you already have the buy-in from the people above you. So the people above you have already given the green light. So now you have to implement it. Yes, there could be resistance, but the resistance is definitely higher when you go to the reverse way, when you are trying to get the buy-in from the higher ups. Because the higher ups, of course they have limited budget to spend, and you're not the only one asking for funds, so they have to prioritize based on the ROI, of course, return on investment. What are you gonna bring in? You're investing, let's say, $1 million or 1 million dirham. What are you gonna get in return of that? And if you cannot solidify this with a strong business case, then it's not going anywhere. It will go to the bin, unfortunately. So.
Right. Yeah. So the case you would say having like a strong case in similar industry would be like the selling point for that kind of management. Fair. What else did I want to ask here? Since we're on the topic of like management and like some of the leadership, have you seen, like, in your industry, in your experience, have you seen any things that those higher ups always get wrong, like the mistakes that you've seen happen multiple times, if there are any, specifically with implementations or maybe on the floor, anything that kind of highlights in your mind?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I've seen a few actually. So okay, so remember, each business is different. Yes, there's some similarities, of course, but if you hear a lot, like the higher executives go for a tour at at at, um, at their buddy's place, let's call it for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
and they see a technology, and they are really impressed by it, and it could be impressive. I'm not saying it is not impressive, but it might not be effective or as relevant as it would be to our business. But they just like, okay, let's say a new software, let's say Udo, for example. I'm not sure if you're
Mhm.
familiar with Udo. So Udo looks really cool, in my opinion. The platform looks cool. There's like plenty of shiny colors.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks very easy to use, and it does. It is not a bad system at all. I'm not saying
Mhm.
anything negative about it, but it doesn't mean that let's say you are in a manufacturing setting, or you are in a distribution setting. Uh, there could be other softwares out there that are more applicable, and also, in my opinion, I've had multiple ERPs or WMS and TMS implementation. Each one is truly unique, to that company. It could
Mhm.
be, let's say, a one that is very known in the industry. Let's say SAP, for example. SAP is very,
Yeah.
very known. But even with SAP implementation, I've seen each company that I've worked with. Let's say I'm comparing two SAPs here. I'm not comparing SAP and something else. It's two SAPs.
Yeah.
And one SAP system was very different from the other, although it is the same at the end of the day. But how the SAP has so many functions, and there's functions you can turn on and turn off, and there's
Yeah.
something you can freeze, unfreeze, for example, for tasks.
Mhm.
There's always additional add-ons that you can buy or remove. So, long story short, each company I worked with had a consultant that was hired usually for the implementation. It's a
Oh,
strong SAP consultant or SAP IT consultant. And the
okay.
idea with this guy is he walks the floor and understands, how the existing system works,
Mhm.
how the picking works, how the shipping, receiving, all the functions in the warehouse work,
Mhm.
how they are tied up to the KPIs, etc., and then make a recommendation to the management. And then management will make the final call. Okay, which functions we actually need? Maybe some of the functions we don't need from day one. Maybe some functions we need at day 60, for example, or 90, or a year from now, and which ones are absolutely required from day one. So although it's exactly the same system, but different ways of running the functions that are tailored to your needs. And I've
Mhm.
seen sometimes also a company will part of the program, they will hire. I've seen this also maybe once or twice actually. They will hire two or three SAP consultants uh, just to pick one. You will hire both one or two, or actually you hire two, not hire. Sorry, hire is not the right word. You will interview two of them,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
select one, select one because they want the person that kind of understood the functions better and were
Mhm.
able to speak easier to the crew, and the crew were able to relate with him or
I
her.
see.
So I'm just telling you how in depth some companies go on this, and
Yeah.
some unfortunately don't do that. Don't go in that depth. They were just, here's the program, here's what it looks like, here's the default. Give us the default. The default
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's excellent, maybe, but but mostly, in my opinion, every implementation needs to be tailored to the exact business needs and tied to the operations to be more successful, and to also show results with the stakeholders. With the stakeholders could
Mhm.
be your employees, could be your managers or executives.
Yeah. Yeah. No. For sure, agree with you on that. Yeah, I've seen that multiple times as well. When the person that's actually very important person that is transferring and connecting the two, essentially like the client and the vendor solution provider, whatever you want to call,
Yeah.
to be able to actually translate what the client needs, because a lot of times client doesn't know what they need, and if you don't have like that right link of the person who is actually going to translate that to the developers of the vendor, how the client actually wants this, it becomes pretty hideous with everything, and then it gets
Yeah.
dragged along. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, and it's also more work for the consultant later on if they don't
Yeah.
understand the sequence and the chain of commands, the chain of tasks, etc. Then it's more work for them in the back end to keep making changes in the background to accommodate. So I've seen also as a result, SAP consultants in, let's say, FMCG, SAP consultants in construction, SAP consultants in manufacturing. I am 100% serious. So that's because it becomes a more niche, and of course, the more niche you are, of course, the more suitable you are to that company. But also, most of these guys are running firms. I have a very good connection. One guy, his name is Dimitri. Dimitri is an FMCG guy, so he will not accept anything that is not FMCG. For example, even if they offer him like $1 million more or whatever, the idea is, no, I'm specialized in this. This is where I excel. I can do, let's say, 5 of this a year. Instead of if I do one, let's say, with construction, which I'm not very comfortable with, it might take me 1 year to do one implementation. So they even become more strategic, and it becomes more of a specialty for some people, and they advertise themselves as niche, and they get paid very handsomely.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a lot. With specifically, as we talked quite a lot about SAP today, I've seen a lot of that happening in SAP specifically. It's quite high paying job there. Pretty much, even the consultant, the developers, whichever, they get paid quite a lot. So that's interesting. What else did I want to add on that note as far as where we're at? Yeah, just have a couple more questions left, realistically.
Yeah, for sure.
We've covered it pretty well, I think, today so far. What else did I want to mention? Yeah. As far as, like, let's say, if we're talking about just random companies, just what are your thoughts on this statement? Do you think companies are honest with with themselves on how their last rollout actually went, or do they, do you think they all say it's like, oh, it was great, that just the success after all the BS that happened within those 3 or 6 months that they were implementing, training the staff and everything? What do you think?
It really depends on who you ask.
Okay, got it.
So that's a good start for me. So why I say who to ask is because if you're asking, let's say we go back to the start, if you're asking Bob, who was resistant, yes, he's now turned. He's now a big advocate. He's a supporter. But if you tell him how it was, he'll tell you this 3-6 months was a disaster. It was lots of errors, lots of issues, lots of sleepless nights, lots of fixing system. But if you ask the mid manager, the higher it goes, in my opinion, the people who have not done the grunt of the work, they will say, "Oh, it's great. It's been great." Yeah, there's maybe some hiccups in there, but the people that see it more definitely are the people on the floor, followed by supervisors, followed by mid management. By the time it goes to the executive level, I think they wouldn't look at the challenges as challenges. They will look at it as, this is a learning phase, which again, I agree with the term. It's not necessarily a bad term, but it's just the this kind of mindset is because you have not been living these challenges. If you're living these
Right.
challenges, you wouldn't say it's a learning phase just like that. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it is. In the
Yeah.
bigger picture, it definitely is. But for the people on the floor, I think it's an understatement. So
Right.
the higher you go up the pyramid, I think the question is more. Yeah, it's been good. It could have been
Yeah.
better. It took us 6 months, but we're there, or 3 months,
So
and
good.
we're there, but we're good now.
Yeah.
We look at it in terms of the dollars or the money spent. So they look
Right.
at it in terms of, okay, this was budgeted for 1 million, for example, or X, whatever, and we spent one. Okay, we're in budget, or we spent 1.1, we're over budget, or we spent 900
Mm.
and it was amazing, it was under budget. So
Right.
this is how they look at it, more or less.
Right.
And again, I don't say this is negatively or positively. It's just the priorities, and the priorities are not the same, or
Of course. Yeah.
for lack of a better word, they don't see the hardship. They
Yeah.
only see the results in the end.
Yeah.
And
They'll
of
have
course,
different goals. Yeah.
yeah, different goals.
But have different. I feel like what you're trying to say is that, like, the higher you go into the management, the leadership, they just feel less pain of the actual transformation that was involved on the actual floor, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I
100%.
completely agree with you on that. It does actually seem that way most of the time. Completely agree. So yeah. Besides that, just wanted to, what else? Yeah, just have two more questions, and one of them is, for the people watching, if you were to leave, one thing in their heads, for the warehouse manager, that's about to start a rollout next week, or an operator who knows that the rollout is coming, what would you say, like, to either or?
Sure. I will do both if you don't mind.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So for the person who is in the warehouse floor, again, the resistance comes because you don't know, or you fear the unknown. Let's put it this way: you fear the unknown. You don't know how the system is. You don't know how it's going to work out. You feel that it's going to be difficult to learn this technology. But again, it's the resistance is, a lot of it is inside you, is fear inside you that that actually should not be there. It's just fear of unknown, but it's not fear of something dangerous. It's just fear of something that is outside of the norm. So you have to try to fight that thought and believe in technology. We are in 2026, and believe that the technology is coming. For some people, of course, they fear AI. That's a different conversation, maybe for another podcast.
Yeah.
But a lot of the warehouses and the tasks in the warehouse, what we're talking about today, are more in technology, not in AI. So we're talking about scanners, and etc. So this is meant to make your life easier, to make you more productive, to work more efficiently, not maybe more organized. You don't necessarily, you're still gonna work hard, but you're gonna be more productive in your work, and it's gonna facilitate your work for you. So learn to be patient and trust the process. For the manager, there's always going to be resistance when you change anything. Even if you change a forklift, I've seen it, forklift or a pallet jack. Oh, this pallet jack has longer forks, or this is shorter forks, or we don't want a battery operated. We want something operated with we don't want manual, we want battery operated, or we want diesel instead of battery. I've seen so many of these. So the managers, don't get your ego. That's my message. Don't let your ego as manager force you to think of retaliation right up. Yes, it is an option, but I'm not saying don't go with that option as your first option. Go with your reasoning why you're implementing this and how it will benefit, and be ready for challenges, be ready for rebuttals, be ready for people like Bob hiding the clipboard, etc. Be ready for these moments, but at the same time, you have to show patience. You have to show that you believe in the system or the technology that you're trying to roll out, and get your buy-in from your younger generation if you need to, or the older, as long as they are in your side. But don't, and again, I said this already, but don't let your patience run out and start feeling that writing people up or firing people is going to be the solution, because sometimes that creates more resentment in the team. So you don't want to disrupt your 20, 30-year-old veterans, experienced veteran, seasoned guys, because they, in some scenarios, are irreplaceable. So you can replace them, but you replace them with 3 guys, for example. So you're doing a work with one or 3 people in some scenarios. Their experience, they listen to them. Sometimes they do have good points. It's not just, maybe it's a system tweak, as we referred to earlier. Maybe the coverage doesn't work. Maybe they have a concern by taking off the gloves, and the gloves is an issue in a cold environment. So listen to them, give them a chance to speak and elaborate, but also that doesn't mean you cave in and give them what they want all the time, but find happy ways to operate, and you will see results. Sometimes results takes a while, but believe in the mission, and always track your KPIs, because that's the only way you can track if you are on the right track or you are off track.
Perfect. That was very strong closing. I like that. Right on. But yeah, that was awesome. That's about
Thank
it.
you.
I don't have any more questions. You've nailed it right to the point. Everything that we talked about, really good.
I love having these conversations, and you can tell I'm passionate about them. So
Exactly.
I'm not reading from any sources or anything, just coming straight from
Exactly.
my experience. So yeah.
That's awesome.